Well, I've finally seen the pilot of the new Macgyver series, so here I am with a very late review. Now to start off, I'm a pretty big fan of the original series, but I know better at this point than to get my hopes up for any remake of an 80s property to be at the quality level of the original. It just can't happen. Those shows caught lightning in a bottle due to their heart and the chemistry of their cast. Things that just can't be replicated with a formula. Look no further than the reboots of two of my other favorite 80s shows, Knight Rider and The A-Team, both of which made a game effort of it, neither really excelling. In fairness, I think the rebooted Knight Rider had a good shot after its early growing pains to develop into something worthwhile. It helped to have David Hasselhoff there to pass the torch, as it were. In the case of Macgyver, it's the A-Team route that's taken, as the show is a total reboot and not a passing of the mantle. The original Macgyver, Richard Dean Anderson, isn't involved. The pilot was reshot due to the original pilot's trailer's poor reception. James Wan, who is an admitted fan of the original series, was brought in to helm the new version. Apparently Lucas Till, who played Mac, got a haircut in the reshoot, and I'm guessing the other change was in adding some familiar names to the show. The only problem I have with that is that the characters bear nearly none of the traits of their original series counterparts. For example, one of my favorite characters in the original series, Bruce McGill's diminutive con man Jack Dalton, is now a burly tough guy that's an actual agent along with Mac. At least he can fly a helicopter, as the original Jack Dalton was a pilot. Mac's boss and best friend, Peter Thornton, originally played by Dana Elcar, is now a victim of gender change, and has become Patricia Thornton, completely ruining the relationship between those two characters. And perhaps most shocking, one of my favorite female characters from the series, Nikki Carpenter, originally played by the lovely Alessa Davalos, is turned into a villainess here, potentially becoming the show's version of escape artist Murdoch. On the plus side, Lucas Till is everything you could want in a recasted Macgyver. He's likable and has just enough charm to recall Richard Dean Anderson. To his credit, he plays Mac nothing like his other most notable role to date, the X-Men's Havoc. They still have many of the original Macgyver traits in play, such as Mac's fear of heights, his referencing his grandfather, his refusing to use guns, at least in the way they were intended to be used, and of course his Swiss Army knife. His trademark of using common everyday household items to suit his immediate needs is also here, but done in a much faster-paced way. They also add a new female character to the team as their resident hacker. I'm really tired of every show needing to have one of those, aren't you? That is, Vinnie Jones is on hand to play the villain for the episode. In the end, their new organization is dubbed the Phoenix Foundation by Mac in the wake of their betrayal by Nikki. Well, time for the final verdict. I don't think the show is awful by any means. I think that if I knew nothing of the original series, I'd probably find this show to be a fairly decent action show with some potential. The problem is, as a Macgyver show, I'm expecting more from the established characters. I want a Peter Thornton that resembles Peter Thornton. I want a Jack Dalton that acts like Jack Dalton, and so on. This show is very much how Macgyver would be if he were created today, with more strong language and villain deaths. It's not really the throwback to a simpler time that it should be. If given time, the show might improve. The problem is, there's already so much programming on these days, such as the superhero fare on daily, that this show is bound to be stifled pretty quickly by more must-see shows competing for attention. I'd recommend folks check it out and draw your own conclusions. It pretty much fails or succeeds by the level of baggage you bring to it. If you keep expectations in check, and can be satisfied with a well-acted main character in an otherwise generic run-of-the-mill action show, you probably will like it. If you're looking for a faithful representation of the familiar characters in the Macgyver world, then you'll probably be disappointed. I'm giving the pilot for Macgyver 3.5 stars out of 5. This is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.